good day, and welcome to the Power Up. We're so glad you're joining us, family, as we pause our moment in time to get educated, equipped, elevated, and empowered to make a difference where we are. I'm your host, Tami Hill Thomas. Glad to join you again so that we can first start with Inside the News. Information that we all need to know to be better so that we can make a difference in our communities. Today, we want to remind our wonderful viewers about the importance of collaborating with the American Red Cross. The American Red Cross shelters, feeds, and provides comfort to people affected by disaster. They supply about 40% of the nation's blood, and they teach skills that save lives. The American Red Cross also distributes international humanitarian aid and supports our veterans, military members, and families. This is a important governmental entity where they partner with the government but stand alone from the government, allowing them to react and respond in those crisis moments. It's important that you know that it's not just about what the American Red Cross can do for you when you need them most, but how you can assist with their mission. There are 5 lines of service with the Red Cross, including volunteerism. Yep, you can partner as a volunteer with the Red Cross. You can be one of the hands and feet on the ground that provide a difference for the relief in the moment when a family has sadly experienced a disaster. Support to those who are just dealing with crises and even helping rebuild your community. Disaster relief and blood services are so important. So if you are not the type to necessarily stand there and help in the moment of crises, you can help before the crisis even happen. They need your blood donation. Do you know that your blood can help save more than 50 lives? Your blood platelets alone can immediately support 7 individuals right where they are. Whether your mom, someone you know, or someone across the country with the same blood type, you can assist by just donating blood. Being certified, training and certifications in CPR and first aid are part of the Red Cross mission. Because listen, if you were to stop breathing, wouldn't you want someone skilled and at least knowing what's going on to help you? So why don't you consider being certified and a partner with the Red Cross? The Red Cross also serves our armed forces and helps with international humanitarian aid. Family, your money, those tax write-offs, how you can donate to an entity that you know the funds are going to help in times of struggle. Absolutely. And then it's a win-win because during tax season, those donations count as your tax deductible. Go to redcross.org. The American Red Cross waits whether you can volunteer physically, whether you donate monetarily, whether you just get skills training just in case there's an accident that happens in front of you or someone's walking in the mall and collapses. You know what to do. And your blood donation matters. What's most important is to know that you can make a difference where you are. The network of generous donors, volunteers, and employees share the American Red Cross's mission of preventing and relieving suffering. So, here at home in the United States, shouldn't we also take part in how we can make a difference? Consider rolling up your sleeves, donating your time, money, and blood to help your neighbors. Who knows? maybe even your family and loved ones. Certainly helps you to stay prepared when the need arises. Crises are something unplanned. There's something we go on our day and we don't plan to have to know that our family, our neighbors next to us dealt with a fire, or that someone collapsed right in front of us, or even that there's a baby in the cancer ward who needs your blood donation. Consider calling 1 800 Red Cross or going to www.redcross.org to see how you can be that humanitarian winner for someone. You can be that superhero in the moment when someone's just hoping that someone cares. You can be that someone. We hope this information was helpful because here it's about empowering folks so that you can not only make a difference as an individual, but now you can share this information with your community, family members, and those around you so we can all stand and make a difference. Family, we're going to keep right on going with this Power Up segment today with a true difference maker. I'm excited about this interview. So hold on because there's more after this.
Hey, how you guys doing? This is Regina Hutt, the wellness practitioner at Empower Mornings. Join me every Monday at noon to work out with Regina on One Network.
Welcome back to the Power Up. Here, family, it's all about education, but also inspiration. I'm so very honored to show one of the best in the next generation. We often get caught up in what we see that's negative about our youth. We're at the Power Up excited to welcome MJ Upchurch today, who is certainly a trailblazer. He's an advocate. He's a mentor and advisor on many different levels. MJ, we are so glad to have you here, that you've taken time out of what you do across the world as a collegiate athlete, as an athlete who has represented our country, and in what you do to advocate for those who are less fortunate on the youth level, being a voice that makes a difference. Do me a favor, if you will. Please introduce yourself to our viewers and why it's so important to do what you do.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for that wonderful introduction. And I'm honored to be here. Thank you for having me on this platform, first and foremost. But yeah, my name is MJ Upchurch. I am 22 years old. I am a college athlete. I'm going into my final year of collegiate athletics in my master's program this upcoming fall at Ferrum College. I have had the honor of representing the United States twice in an international uh, athletics tournament in Klagenfurt, Austria, which was called the United World Games. And yeah, I'm just doing everything I'm doing, walking by faith every day, trying to be obedient to God, which has now led me to my most recent endeavor, which has been starting a podcast, which is called Processing with MJ Upchurch, where we explore the world around us and process all the different facets of our society through the lens of faith.
Man, wow. So, how you do it all is something we want to talk about because one of the great things about what you do and your voice is, first of all, thank you because you're sharing a part that a lot of people don't get to see. And that's the heart of the youth, of the young adults. How old are you, MJ?
Yeah, I'm 22. I turn 23 next month.
Man, how about that? And so at 22, knowing your history, having done a lot of research on you and your many different platforms, you've been speaking for a while. Tell us why you feel sharing your voice is so important.
Honestly, throughout my life, it felt like it almost hasn't really been much of a choice. Early on in my childhood, when I was in fifth grade, and honestly a little bit before that, I was a victim of bullying, verbal bullying in my elementary school. And that led me to essentially just write about my feelings and how I knew bullying was wrong, but didn't really know how to express that. I was only 9 or 10 years old. And that led me to just write out my feelings in a long essay type of thing. And I just showed it to my teacher, and she was like, "You're going to read this at graduation." So my first speaking opportunity was at my 5th grade graduation, and I was just writing about what I had experienced. And that's pretty much been what it has been throughout my entire life. My mom would put her phone in front of my face on a regular basis and just ask me, "What would you say to the kids experiencing X, Y, and Z?" 9 times out of 10, I was actively experiencing that. So she was wanting me to share insight on what I was feeling, how I was getting through it, and how I could heal from what I was experiencing, to be able to share that with other people. And that's how it's led into the processing route now. God has told me to do the exact same thing now. Through all the experiences I've been blessed to have throughout my life, I'm just sharing those things with other people, and hopefully being able to inspire some hope that no matter how ugly and dark times get, that you can always have a way out and a way to healing and progression.
Wow, man. So not just a matter of culture,
Mhm.
but speaking for help to
Yeah.
lift someone else. I heard about your essay, and that it made its way to the White House and was presidentially recognized.
Yes, at the time I had received a letter. I don't know how it got there, but I received a letter from President Obama at the time, and he had just written saying that he was proud of my efforts in standing up in my community and fighting against bullying. So that's definitely an achievement that I need to do a better job of recognizing, because at the time it happened, I was just young, so I didn't understand the gravity of that. But it's definitely dawned on me a bit more as I've grown more mature.
So if you will, I want to stay there for a minute. We're going to talk about your podcast because we want to make sure that others can hear and get the heart of what birthed that. But can you tell me if it's one thing to try to mentor one on one, which I can only imagine how other kids, and hearing that you were a coach and so many different things that you've done. But how did that impact you internationally?
Yeah, I had the honor of, when I went overseas to compete in the United World Games, I was the only black player on my team on both years. We had two completely brand new rosters. I was the only person who returned for both years, but both years I was the only black person on the roster, which comes with a lot of educating opportunities. There are just people who don't know certain things about different cultures, and I was able to offer insight into how black people perceive the world because of our experiences in education and things like that, and how our counterparts that are a part of other races can understand us better, so we can all just have a better functioning society. So being able to experience that overseas and travel countries and meet people not just within my teams and not just Americans who had traveled with me, but interacting with the other teams that I was competing against. Like, for example, we played against a Chilean team, and afterward, the coaches and the players were all asking to take pictures with me because I was the first black person, or black American specifically, that they had seen in person. And I didn't take that to be offended at all. I was just like, wow, this is incredible to see how something that's so natural to me is not natural for other people. And it's just an opportunity to be able to relate to our fellow man and hopefully bring the world a little bit closer together. We're in a very individualized society these days, and I think community is the antidote to that.
That is phenomenal. Wow. Well, thank you for representing us the way you have. And you mentioned being a college athlete. What dimension does that add?
Yeah, so college is a battleground, honestly. It's a lot of kids, honestly, being put into a space where they experience an amount of freedom that they've never had in their lives before. So everyone's just trying to figure it out right up against each other, basically. And it's extremely important for those of us who have more mature insight to be able to offer that to the ones who are still trying to figure it out. So I've been a leader my entire life in every facet that I've been a part of. On every team, I was captain growing up, and it's just been natural for me. I haven't done those things to try to get the honor of being captain. That's just, when there's a gap that needs to be filled and I can fill it, I just want to step in to be able to play my role in any way that I can. So on my college campuses, whether it was on my team or working my college job or starting a Bible study, which I was led to start on my college campus, I just wanted to be able to give my peers hope that we don't have to walk around lost in the world. We don't have to feel alone. We don't have to be left out. We can have a goal that is also good. It's not just something that's going to make us money or whatever, but we can ultimately do everything we want to do and do it with character and do it to honor God.
Mm. Okay, so honored by the president, fifth grade, overseas, representing the country, um, collegiate athlete, and what sport?
Soccer. I grew up playing four sports, but soccer is the one that stuck. I played basketball, football, soccer, and baseball. But soccer was my true love. It was the first sport I played, and I have just taken it with me forever. And hopefully, I can continue as long as I can into a professional career as well.
That's awesome. Okay. And so now, how does that all birth into processing?
Yeah,
The deciding to do a podcast to take your voice to another level in the entertainment industry.
yeah. So it honestly goes back to me first experiencing Jesus, really. I grew up in church and knew about God and knew all the Christianese and everything, but no one is really a Christian until they have an encounter and experience God for themselves and decide to take their relationship very personally. So last year in January, I went to a Fellowship of Christian Athletes retreat, and that is where I first encountered God and realized that I wasn't who I thought I was. Essentially, I wasn't the great leader that I was, not in my own strength at least, and I still had a lot of faults that needed to be healed and fixed and guided by God. So from that process over a year and a half ago, it's just been a lot of doing research and understanding my faith and understanding who I am, and hearing from those who have been more versed and more educated in and around faith and understanding the Bible and understanding God, and getting different perspectives to learn from people ultimately. So I listen to a lot of podcasts, listen to a lot of sermons and stuff. And the thing I value most about podcasts is how conversational it is. Sermons, you hear just the pastor or the preacher speaking straight to you, which is extremely valuable because it's a one-way path of communication and education. But conversationally, through podcasts, you can have two different people talking about an issue and exploring multiple sides of it rather than one side of it. So I value podcasts a lot in being able to learn from other people. And I always talk to my now wife, and we listen to podcasts together. And I always said it would be very interesting. And I would always have questions that I wanted to further ask in regards to the conversations that I was listening to. So one time I said it to her, and I kind of felt like God was telling me, well, why are you not starting a podcast? Why are you not using the gifts that I've given you as far as speaking to be able to offer this for the people around you as well, and people that don't even know you but can reach you because of the internet and through social media? So that kind of, it was like God kind of checked me, like, why are you waiting for other people to reach out to you when you can be reaching out to the world? So in an effort to just be obedient to God calling me into a new space, I just started doing research on what even starting a podcast looks like, what it looks like to begin to form your own business. My wife is an entrepreneur, but I was never that. So I'm just learning as I'm going right now, and just trying to give people the vulnerability of my experiences and the things that I'm currently experiencing as well. My podcast, Processing with MJ Upchurch, is, like I said, exploring the world around us through the lens of faith. And more than anything, I just want to show people that God is truly everywhere. He's not just at church. He's not just in gospel music. He's in every single facet of our society, whether it's something that is reflected or inspired by him directly, or whether it's something that is showing the desperate need for him, whether if it's the most far away thing you can get from God. That's still a cry out for help, because internally we are built and geared to reach out for
Yeah.
God, whether we realize it or not. So that's the heart of the podcast, and that's how it came up. And I'm just walking by faith every single day, trying to learn this process. And yeah, I'm just trying to give people the truth of that I don't have it all figured out, but we have an extreme wealth of knowledge and wisdom and understanding from God, and by leaning into him every single day. So
Wow, your path and your journey is phenomenal. I can only imagine what's next. But I want to ask this question. We get a lot of viewers who uh, want to figure out how to speak to their youth, what they should say or impact, how they can be difference makers. Because those of us that are old folks, we can't reach the young folks the way maybe your voice has. That's why it's so honorable to have you on the show today. What advice would you share with older folks who are trying their best to connect with this generation that is very social media savvy, that is very influenced by social media. And maybe those of us may not necessarily be. What advice would you have?
There's two things that come to mind immediately. The first one is leading and displaying God by your actions, and also getting to know these kids in a very personal, intimate way. So I've found that in my generation and in the generations that are now coming up after me and around my age, that people are starting to care less and less about what anyone is saying if they're not also backing it up. They want to see a congruence between words and actions. So by being just an example of what it is to walk with faith and to be an example of Jesus's love and grace and mercy in every way, that is going to speak a lot more than any words you can, obviously, than any words you can say. But obviously, any words are important, and we need education. Simply put, we need to have solid foundational Bible teaching to understand why we believe what we believe, why we should believe what we believe, and why the Bible is in fact the Word of God, and why it is a valuable resource to look at history, and why it's verifiable, and why Jesus really did live, die, and raised from the dead again. So it's important for older people to understand that the youth are experiencing a world that did not exist before. Simply put, we're all experiencing the world that we have today for the very first time. So youth are understanding that and trying to navigate that as well. The only way for us to fully communicate and get between the age gaps is to meet each other where we are. Don't try to teach the youth into being who they're supposed to be, but meet them where they are first and see exactly how they're experiencing and understanding the world around them where they are. And like I said, live by example as well. If someone is not conducting themselves the way that they're speaking, we're not going to hear it. We can see through lies and hypocrisy pretty quickly these days.
Wow. So what is next for you?
What's next is I'm going into my last year of college soccer in the fall, and hopefully doing well with that to go out with a bang. And I will be completing my master's degree in sport coaching from Ferrum College. And from there, I'm not sure. Whatever God wants me to do, I'm all for 100%. However I can serve Him, serve the kingdom, and serve His people. That's the goal in anything I'm doing. I am 3 months married now, and so I'm just getting day by day as well, learning how to be a husband and how to be a Christ-like head of a household. So it's just growing every day, spending time with God, continue to be close to Him in His Spirit and in His Word. So I'm open to whatever it is that God has for me in the future.
I love it. I love it. Let me just ask this. So you are very centered in your faith.
Mhm.
Um, but everybody in the world isn't. There's different faiths, different cultures, and you've been international. So you've seen all of that.
Yeah.
Um, Tell me what you believe your voice can do just with inspiration and motivation and helping those who just are in places that need hope.
I've seen my voice be a neutralizing factor in being able to disarm people from being defensive. So by that I mean I've had Muslim teammates, and I've had very direct conversations about why do you believe your faith is correct, why I believe my faith is correct, and just how they differ. And in a conversation that I had with one of my teammates, he thanked me afterward because he said that I was the first Christian that he felt like was actually listening and not just trying to convert him, because I truly was and still am just trying to understand people and see where they are. Why do you believe what you believe? Not me trying to immediately make you who I am. That's never going to work in conversion. That's not what Jesus did with anybody. He met them where they are, met their needs, and then revealed Himself to them. And if they accepted Him, they accepted Him. If they didn't, they didn't. We have free will, and we have to respect that with each other. So I've just been grateful for the extreme grace that God's put over my life to be able to even use my voice. Words, life and death is in the power of the tongue. Truly, we can inspire people toward God, or we can inspire people toward hell. Essentially, that's where we're headed before we accept Jesus. So, by using my voice deliberately, I'm just trying to guide people toward the truth, and at least encourage people to explore the truth with an open mind. Because as I had to learn over the last year and a half, the Bible is in fact verifiable, and it stood the test of time for well over 2,000 years now, and it's going to forever because we have the evidence extra biblically as well as within the Bible to verify itself. So I think the word is unbelievably important. It's far more important than anybody could possibly put into words. But ultimately, I would just tell people to look into it with an open mind and ask God to reveal himself to you through the word. And he will. He 100% will. He's never turned anybody away from trying to find his spirit.
What I love is that you're so sure in your faith. But what I've heard is that your influence, as you say, you show it first.
Mm-hmm.
You mentioned diffusing situations just with your voice. And I think a lot of times those who are in faith get used to the being whipped with the Bible type of thing. And it sounds like just walk the walk and the rest will follow, or your evidence will speak for you, which is also something. So thank you for what you do. I can't let you go, though. I can't let you go. The motivator that you are, you inspire. I mean, you're a coach, like I say, a mentor. You peer mentor others. What if there's you shared advice with adults. If there's a youth, if there's someone who's in a struggle situation right now that just needs to hear inspiration from you, a young person who might be getting bullied at school, maybe they're dealing with the loss of a parent. We just went through a pandemic. So many different things in life. Life is life in it. It's hard. What advice or what inspiration would you share with another young person who just needs to hear from you?
That's tough because everyone is experiencing things in extremely unique ways. So there's not necessarily a one size fits all thing. But in an attempt to try to do that, I would say our hope is alive and well. Jesus is our hope in being able to overcome the things of this world and live sweet a joy and in a life that we could never possibly fathom while we're here. So with anything that it is that we're going through, it doesn't last forever, but the love of God does. He sees you exactly where you are right now. He understands where you are and he loves you. He wants you to function in the maximum capacity that you can to experience the joy, the love, the grace and mercy from him, because ultimately he is the righteous choice of good in our world, in our universe. And so yeah, the only hope that I can really give is found in Jesus. He is alive and well. We don't worship a God who is dead. We don't have his tomb, we don't have his ashes. He's alive and well. So there's no greater hope than that. He died and came back to life to create a pathway for us to experience life on the other side of death. So all the things that we experience here are temporary, but the things that last are of him. And if we choose him and submit to him, our life that we will find in him will be far more abundant and glorious than we could ever even begin to experience here.
As you share your heart and your thoughts, I gotta ask, what type of folks have influenced you through your journey that have you in a place where not just that you're sure in your faith, but you took on a wife and were ready to make that kind of step at 22? You made it through college, and some folks quit in the journey, and yet you still seem resilient to, like you say, want to consider professional sports in the next part of life. What type of influences those in the faith community and outside may have helped you that other young people should look to?
Mm-hmm. Probably three examples I have to mention. First is Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. I mean, I wouldn't be in the schools that I've been blessed to attend had he not been such a pioneer and so firm in his faith as well to bring the kingdom of God here. When we say the Lord's Prayer, we say that your will be done on earth as it is in heaven. That's ultimately just bridging the gap. So him being that it's the reason why we moved to Georgia. I said that I wanted to go where MLK lived. So when I was like 8 and I didn't even know what that meant for real. So that's one within faith. One outside of faith has been Tim Howard, who is the United States goalkeeper for years. He's the reason that I became a goalkeeper, to be honest, and why I actually pursued it and felt like I had a pathway to use soccer as a platform of success and overcoming the things that I had been through, because Tim Howard grew up, and I read this in his book when I was younger, and it completely changed my life. He grew up and he had Tourette's, and he was mixed as well. So with the difficulty of struggling with a disability, as well as the social implications of being mixed in New York, where he grew up, he had a lot to face and a lot to overcome. And seeing that he did overcome that, and at a time where there weren't a lot of Black American goalkeepers, that was extremely inspirational for me. I was like, wow, people that look like me can do what I want to do. I mean, I don't have anything to fear anymore. And last but not least, the for sure number one inspiration in my faith has been you, my mother. And I've seen you overcome more than any human should ever have to bear. And I know there's a lot more that I haven't even seen and haven't even heard about, but you are truly Wonder Woman in my eyes. You've been through a lot and overcome, and you as well are firm in your faith in spite of all those things, and on top of all those things, and maybe even because of all those things, God getting you through all of those things. So absolutely, my current inspiration, more than any of the other people, was by far you.
Well, for folks who didn't know, this interview was, yes, with our baby boy out of 7, in our blended family. So I thank you for ending the show with that, because it gave an opportunity for the viewers to hear you and not to hear an interview where it needed to be me. Your journey, your voice is so admirable. It's so worth you having many different stages across the world. And I'm just excited to be a fan, to watch your journey, and with your beautiful wife. Congratulations on your marriage from the Power Up family. And thank you for joining us today. We are going to have MJ back. He's agreed to be a correspondent and a voice. We're going to put him in the field, y'all, and have some field work, because it's important that the next generation be heard. You also might want to look and see his impact on the We Empower Network, possibly in the future. In the meantime, tap into his Processing with MJ Upchurch podcast on Instagram and TikTok. It's at processing.pod. And he does have episodes on his YouTube channel, Processing with MJ Upchurch. Keep going. You're making an amazing impact. You're certainly a trailblazer in a lot of ways. And I can't wait to see your impact on the platforms ahead. Family, stay tuned. We're going to keep going with motivation as we discuss the successful mindset. There's more after this. Thank you.
Good morning. Marshall Weeks here with you. Today, let's reflect on a powerful question. Do we truly believe God loves us, or are we too caught up in how much we love Him? Deuteronomy 31:8 assures us God will never leave you nor forsake you. This promise covers our physical, mental, and emotional well-being. So why do we let short-term financial stress distract us when we serve a God who offers long-term perfect solutions? Before making financial decisions, do we pause to seek God's guidance when faced with the job offer that promises a little more pay? For much more work, do we consult Him, or do we rush ahead without considering His higher plan for us? One that might involve nurturing a business idea He planted in our hearts, designed to stretch us, refine our discipline, and prepare us to manage a future filled with blessings and opportunities to bless others. So let's commit to seeking His wisdom with every financial choice, remembering always to focus on His immense love for us. This understanding ensures that when we face challenges, we stand confident, knowing we have a Father who will see us through to victory. Embrace God's process on your journey to financial blessings. Consider it pure joy, rather than enduring the consequences of poor decisions. You've been empowered because you should prosper.
to the Power Up family. We're going to discuss something that's so important because oftentimes life has a way of knocking the wind out of us. We deal with the stuff of life, the eviction notices. We deal with the pink slips. Death is so hard, sickness in our bodies. We deal with the opinions of others. And we often forget that we're still purposed for greatness. And so, what we want to discuss is how to have that success mindset, the mindset to win in spite of others. First, in these two words, you'll notice mindset is where it's going to start. What you believe, what you think, what your motives are, your intentions. How about your dreams? Yeah, they can be released as well. Success is what will drive it. It can give it wind, or it can even be the destination, what the finish line looks like. But how healthy your logic is, your thoughts, your endeavors, that's what we want to entertain. We want to take time and build that successful mindset. Let's think about the fact that a success mindset is a way of thinking that embraces challenges, embraces it instead of running from it. The courage to know that a challenge is important because it views failures as opportunities for growth, and it believes in one's abilities to achieve goals. So, if a failure, first of all, is something you can grow from, then that changes the definition that a failure is something that's a setback. It's something that knocks you down. It's something that keeps you down. We today want to remind you to get on back up because failure is an opportunity. I'll put it this way. How many times have you taken tests when you were younger, and every time you didn't get that answer right, you learned from it? Okay, let's come up a little bit more. Sadly, how many times have you maybe fallen and you realize, hey, there's a hole there. Hey, I need to look down before I step off a curve. Hey, I need to make sure that as I'm driving, I don't want any car accidents. So I have to slow down when it comes to here. I have to yield. I have to pay better attention and not be distracted while I'm moving my motor vehicle. Okay. Conversations. How many times have you dealt with an opinion from someone and now you see how they are? So you learn from that situation and know maybe that's not the person I need to have when things get heavy, when I have to move forward. In other words, every opportunity gives you an opportunity, right? Every experience in life gives you a new experience. And most can help pour into and increase your character. So, as we discuss a success mindset, there are some things you want to put in place. You want to remember that first, it starts with what you define success as. Uh-huh. Take this opportunity to give yourself grace and permission to know that what they say it should be does not mean it's what fits for you. You know how many folks don't like natural hair? For a long time, it was Tammy. I couldn't do it. I believed in the press and the perm and the straight until I had a health issue, a health challenge, and I lost all of the hair. And my fabulous beautician said, Tammy, consider how your medications play a part in how your hair is cared for. My mind grew with information. So I could have just stayed down with the woe is me when I lost my hair. Instead, I decided to learn from it, grow in understanding how naturally I care for me, my skin, flaws and all, to be the best me possible. Okay, maybe the definition of success for you is where you want to go. I live check to check right now, but I want to be debt free. That's absolutely possible. However, you didn't get in that situation overnight. It's going to take some growth and dedication and courage and commitment. But you have the right to define what you want your success financially to look like. Starts with setting some goals, challenging yourself to be different. If you're doing the same thing, then it's just talk. If you have in your mind, man, I know I could, but you don't write the vision down to make it plain in front of you and see them as those goals, why that vision board is so important. I get to look up every day and see I'm going to be happy every day. I have goals in front of me that remind me. I see I am enough on my bathroom mirror when I brush my teeth. I make things plain around me, including my own inspiration, so that as I'm focused on my success journey, because it's not just a destination, it's a journey of life. I want to be successful. And where I am now is not where I was, and it's sure enough not what I'm going to look like in 10 years. But I'm not going to stop moving forward, challenging myself to get back up, challenging to start something new, including connecting with folks that have information I don't have, mentors, people that have been doing it for a long time, advisors. You want to change your money? Have you spoken to a financial advisor? Considering how self talk can help you in those moments. I mentioned how I look up at my mirror and stickies and they help pour back into me. They tell me things that the world tells me the opposite. Think about that. I've had so many people say you can't. I've had those dudes in the past tell me you won't be nothing without me. I'm successfully happily married, honey. And it shows that I had to learn to separate the hate and the naysayers and start making my voice for self empowerment, self encouragement louder than the noise. Family, a success mindset starts with reminding yourself that fear is not an option. Fear is not an option on any level. Fear is something that can try to influence, but I am embracing courage. I am embracing the new opportunities. I'm not allowing my mind to shift to those things that can distract me from where I'm going. Because another point is to make sure that I invest in myself. I'm going to get the skills training. We mentioned earlier about considering being CPR, first aid certified. Just few classes can have you be the winner in the moment, making sure that you can help those around you to know what to do. Because if you stop breathing, you would want somebody doing it for you. And if it was your mama, come on now, your babies. There are things we can do, family, to make sure that success stays an everyday effort. And it starts with what you believe, what you think about you, how you surround yourself with those that can lift you up when you're weak and continue to pour into you so you have information to pour out to others. We're absolutely grateful that our production team elevated this as a point, not just of encouragement to say, yes, you can, get back up and try again. Not just an opportunity to remind you of the greatness that you are, even when you don't feel like it. Because there's times when the wind gets knocked out. You know, burying my dad this time last year, I needed a few weeks, almost a few months, just to get my focus back because I lost my hero. But what I've learned now is how to use that as my motivation. I'm going to make sure the world knows about Jim Hill. And I'm going to make sure that whenever they see me, they see a product of excellence. But it was a mind shift. And I had to take the opportunity to be real with where I was. So, family, as you consider what your success looks like, whether it be financial, socially, you have trips, you want to get out there after the pandemic and cruise and experience the world, whether it's making sure spiritually you grow, financially you grow, make sure you consider what you need to pour into your mental psyche, your psychological safety is just as important. Your mental health is just as important. You wouldn't walk around with a broken leg forever. Come on and build yourself and go be great. We hope that this success mindset segment was helpful and that you felt a little more power. But stay tuned, family, as we go into our wrap up for this amazing day. There's more after this.
Hey everybody, this is Regina Hutt, the wellness practitioner on Empowered Mornings. We'd like to invite you every Wednesday night, 8 p.m., uniquely and gorgeous, to keep your mind locked and loaded on WIN Network.
Welcome. Welcome back to the Power Up. Welcome. Family, what an amazing segment today. We hope you were equipped, elevated, empowered, educated. We started our segment Inside the News discussing the importance of connecting with the American Red Cross. Those of us who are proud Americans, they need your help. They are seeking donations of many different kinds, not just with your blood platelets, which can actually save lives, but also monetarily. You can donate funds to make a difference. They also need volunteers, those who can be the hands and feet, the boots on the ground, to make a difference during disaster relief efforts. They need your help in your community to help your neighbors. Consider going to redcross.org to learn more in how you can connect and be an official volunteer with the American Red Cross. How you can give blood services, how you can help during those moments of disaster. Listen, how you can get educated. Consider the training opportunities and certifications that the American Red Cross offers. 1-800 Red Cross. For those who just want to pick up the phone and speak with someone that can give you the insight of how you can be a difference maker. Consider connecting because they serve our armed forces. They help on a daily basis our men and women on the front line and our veterans who have served and helped our freedoms. And internationally, the American Red Cross is not just within our borders, but they help with international humanitarian efforts. Our hearts go out to our brothers and sisters across the water. They have neighbors here, co workers, parishioners, family members, those that are praying that relief can get to their family overseas, across the water. You can make a difference. Redcross.org. We also were joined by an amazing powerhouse of a guest, MJ Upchurch, who has trailblazed. He has been an international voice and athlete, wearing the American flag as a goalkeeper with the United States youth soccer team at the United World Games twice, 2 years in a row, making a difference with the voice he has for other youth so that those who might not necessarily give ear to those seasoned, the old folks like us, he has stepped in along with so many young people who are pioneers and advocates of their own. MJ Upchurch, you can Google him and find him on every social media platform. Also, you can follow how he's making a difference in his academic and athletic career. Is studying his master's right now. And congratulations to the newlyweds. But listen, check out the podcast, Processing with MJ Upchurch. What I appreciate about his voice is while he's stern in his faith, he discusses real issues in life. Some folks can't handle being beat by the word. They just want to know there's love in the air. They want to know that there's a positive place. My Processing with MJ Upchurch can be found on YouTube and on IG and TikTok at Processing Pod. Listen, you can't say that there's not positivity out there. One thing the Power Up is going to do is bring you the voices that are making a difference. Thank you, MJ, for joining us and for all you do. I'm so glad the White House recognized you, but I can't wait to see what's in your future. Stay tuned. He's going to come back, family. We already have him lined up for more excellence and experience and other young voices to make a difference. We also just shared our success mindset segment. Come on, somebody. Knowing that it's not over because of the situation that you're in. It might feel bad to you, but it's good for you. Because once you get back up and you keep going, you've learned a few things. Number one, you've learned to be careful, you've learned to be aware. Your awareness has now trickled into different situations. You might not do that again because you've learned maybe how to accomplish that different ways, right? And you've been reminded self talk is more important than any talk. Stop looking for your girlfriends to have the answers. Ah, the loudest voice you should have is what you say to you. That and whatever power source you connect with, that's the center of your faith. Here on the Power Up, we open up to all faces, all humanity, as we stand as one human race. But whatever yours is what you want to give ear to, because that's what gives you the courage to keep going. We're not giving ear to fear. Failure does not define you. Learning from the experience, taking the opportunity to grow is what defines you. Family, we often forget that diamonds, as beautiful and priceless as they are carved out of mud, out of a cave. Roses, as beautiful as we want them, as much as we want to hand them to our boo, as they exemplify some of the best preciousness and even add aroma to change the atmosphere around us, they grow better when you throw manure on them. Come on, fertilizer. So we've got to learn how to take the negativity and the hate, the stuff that our haters will put in the atmosphere, and turn our haters into our motivators, and take that to say, this only makes me want to succeed more. This makes me want to show you it's not what you call me, it's what I answer to. I said something right there. Somebody ought to write that down. It's not what they call you, it's not what they say about you. Your success is defined by what you answer to, what lifts you and propels you forward. Family, sometimes that means connecting with others. And I encourage it all the time. When I coach executives, I ask them, what other executives do you connect with? If nothing else, having a network will help hear perspectives from others who are also in the success mindset space, who are also trying to win at life, who also deal with some of the struggles that leaders do. And you lead on every level. You lead in your home, in your marriage, as a parent, right? You lead in your workplace, maybe in your community. Come on, join a civic association. There are ways you can do it. So don't let others tell you what your mindset should be. Oh, you shouldn't think like that. Oh, you shouldn't do that. What do you define it as? And give yourself permission. Give yourself permission to change. Come on, change is good. That the Tammy I am right now is not the Tammy I'm going to be. Can I tell you, I'm in such a place in life where I can't wait to see who the new Tammy's going to be. Not just in the future, but tomorrow. I want to be so different and constantly evolving and stay relevant and enjoying life that when something new pops off, I at least have the opportunity to entertain whether I want to do it or not. Instead of being so in the box that, well, I'll do that. I can't enjoy that. No, don't bring me that. At least allow the openness of you, because I have news for you. There's a whole world out there waiting for you. I want to end this with this thought. If I can go to the faith that I believe, I'm a Christian, and there's a guy in the Bible named Adam that is spoken of. So I just want to kind of make this a plain story. Adam, one of the first people that are talked about in the Bible, had everything at his hand. It was just him. He was balling, had the God, had all that stuff, anything he wanted. And at one point, God put him to sleep. He put him to sleep because God knows the importance of rest. And sometimes he does his best work on us when we're not in the way of him doing the work. So he put Adam to sleep. When Adam woke up, Eve was standing there, the better half. God took out of him, they say his rib near his heart, the thing that protects his heartbeat, and created a woman. This story is important from the dimension that Adam didn't know Eve was in there. The wonderfulness that makes us women who we are, her curves and her sensuality, the gentleness and the nurturing. We birthed the world, honey. The greatness that makes women who they are. But it's not about Eve in this moment. It's that Adam didn't know there was a greatness that could be birthed out of him. He was doing what he was doing in the mindset that he was doing it in. Family, the message: don't live in limits. There's things about you you have no idea have yet to be birthed. There's possibilities and opportunities in you. Come on, write a book and be an author. Come on and decide, I've always wanted to start a podcast. Go ahead, MJ Upchurch. Come on and decide that you want to step out on faith and out in new ventures and decide, I never did. So why not me? You should write that down too. Because the question, if you see everybody else doing it, why not you? We hope that today's segment was educating, connecting with the Red Cross, elevating, getting your mindset to that success space, equipping you so that you can pour into others to be that change maker, and elevating you. Shoulders back, head up. Yes, I can. We want to end our show, as always, with our gratitude to those who serve and protect every day and put themselves in harm's way. Our frontline first responders, including the medical professionals that elevated during the pandemic. We want to thank our teachers and educators, those who help to bring generations up every day, those who are caretakers of our parents, and those who help care for those seasoned individuals. We thank our frontline military and our veterans. We honor you and appreciate your service. And we thank the wonderful production team of the Power Up for bringing another fabulous show. Family, we're a year in and excited for many more years to come. We'll see you on the next show. Take care.